River and Chris from Asheville. I lived there for about 10 years, but before that I was going out there all the time, so I met them well before my time living there. River and I were kind of a part of a circle of musicians playing Middle Eastern music in restaurants and various things, and then River just kind of became the breakaway star of that scene, and went on to international fame and fortune.
Lots of fortune.
Oh yeah, mostly fortune.
And Asheville is the kind of town where if you're talking about the tall guy named Chris, who plays a Godin electric oud and can be seen on YouTube playing a Moog synthesizer at Middle Eastern quarter tone scales, you have to be more specific because there are two of us. River is also the force behind the Asheville Percussion Festival, which is a mighty force to be reckoned with, bringing some world-class people here. I remember one time I was walking around on Lexington Avenue downtown and ran into him and one of the percussionists for Dead Can Dance, just hanging out.
Yeah.
And Chris is the go-to producer and recording studio for a lot of singer-songwriters and various musicians in Asheville. So if you need that type of service, please hit it up afterwards. And with that, I will get out of the way and let them do their magic.
How you guys doing? Good. Feel like we should do something really good after that, huh? So we have this band called Free Planet Radio, and we've studied a lot of classical music and jazz and Indian music and Middle Eastern traditional music, and in this band we kind of take all that and put it together in our own compositions. So we try and kind of see where they're all common and make our own music from that. We're going to play a tune, then we're going to go through and talk about the instruments and a little more, but thought we'd play something first. This is a tune called Storyteller, and this is the oud. River's going to play the frame drum. I'll tell you more about those in case you don't know. So that's kind of a newer song of ours called Storyteller. Has a Sufi chant at the end. Anyone speak Arabic here? No. River? Me when I pretend. But it's a traditional chant, La ilaha illallah, which I believe means there's no God above God, or something along those lines. This instrument I'm playing is called the oud, spelled O-U-D, or U-D sometimes. And it's kind of like as popular as the guitar is here. It's kind of like the guitar of the Middle East. And it's actually an ancestor of the guitar. The oud, from what I hear, went to Spain, where it became el oud, like the oud, and then elud became lute, and then the lute became the guitar. So, I don't know if that's 100% true, but that's what I've heard. Is that what you've heard, Adam? No. But it has 11 strings. It's got 5 pairs of unison strings and then a single low string. And it's fretless. And a long time ago, it was played with an eagle feather as a pick. The more traditional pick is more like these plastic strips called mizrabs. Which obviously I don't know how to play very well, so I use a guitar pick. And this one also has guitar tuners, which have gear tuners rather than the friction pegs like a violin has, so it's much easier to keep it tuned. And River is playing the frame drum on that one.
Hello. I play a lot of frame drums. A frame drum is a drum that's wider than it's deeper. So here's one of them, and I really enjoy the frame drum. They have a nice resonant sound to them. They last longer than most percussion instruments unless you're dealing with cymbals and gongs and timpani and things like that. Sometimes called the duff, the bendir, has many names, and then the tar drum. There's an Irish version of this. It's actually one of the most ubiquitous drums around the world, but you don't really see it in popular culture much, but you find it all over the world. You get bass tones out of it. It can be called the doom sound. The edge sounds, which are called the tech sound. Tech with your dominant hand, ka with your non-dominant hand. So if you say teka teka tek, you're going to go. If you're a lefty, you're going to go. If you say teka teka tek, and then there's the pa sound, the dry sound. So a traditional Middle Eastern rhythm might be a melody, which would be doom doom tika tek doom tika pa tika doom doom tika doom pa tika doom. Then you could use other styles with it. You could use some snaps. Technique. I'm going to use a different frame drum on this next one called the Rick tambourine. And on this one also, there's a classic style you can play. And the doom is just played with just using your ring finger, your fourth finger this way. The techs are on the edge here, and you get this kind of clucking sound by muting with your index finger. And then the pause right here. So that same rhythm I go doom, doom, tika, pa, tika, doom, doom, tika, doom, tika, pa, tika, doom, tika, doom, tika, pa.
did.
Hello. Hello, Dotar.
How convenient. Are there any other Dotar players here?
Amateur Dotar.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
I picked
You
mine
play
up in,
Rick too. Hey.
Hey.
in India. The
You guys know
culture.
Adam? He's a local musical marvel. Plays drums and everything else.
Swedish.
And bands. Well, this is an instrument from India called the Dotar. And there's a bigger classical version about this size called the sarod. And that's what I studied when I went to the Indian Classical Music School to study with Ali Akbar Khan in the Bay Area back in 96, 97. I got a grant to go out there. And the sarod has 25 strings. This one has 17. It kind of has 6 main playing strings. These 4. And then a high drone string. Oh boy. It's very hard to keep in tune. And so it's kind of like anyone play banjo here. It's laid out very similar to like an Appalachian banjo. But then the drone strings, or the sympathetic strings, there's a whole layer of strings underneath that just kind of sympathetically vibrate along. I can sort of get to them. So that, much like a viola da gamba or some of the Renaissance instruments also. So you tune those strings to whatever scale you're playing. So that's the scale we're playing. And instead of a pick, you use a coconut shell wedge, kind of sharpened up with a little bit of wax. And on your left hand, instead of using your fingertips to fret the note, you actually slide on your fingernails, which is a little freaky, but it makes a big difference in the sound. Like if I just play with my fingertips, but with the nail, it's. Kind of extra ringing you hear is the sympathetic strings vibrating sympathetically along. We're going to do a song, this is actually an old song of ours. River and I have been playing together since 2001. We started this band as a trio with Elliot Wadopian, our bass player friend, and he passed away a few years ago, so we've been playing this song in tribute to him with a recording of his bass, so we thought we'd do that for you. It's called Tangoa, because it's sort of a tango, but it's an Indian tango. mixer pedal down on the floor. It enables me to switch instruments without having to reset everything.
Oh.
Pretty slick, right? Yeah.
No more unplugging the quarter-inch and
Yes.
blasting out the system.
Exactly.
Got it. That's smart.
Oh,
This next piece is called City Nature.
City Nature.
Yes. You might remember the licks on this. What do we have here? You're the
This
youngest
is
person.
Augie Savage.
Hello, Augie. You're the youngest person in the crowd. Unless there's a fetus in here that we don't know. Maybe. You're so quiet, Augie. Thank you.
He's a music lover.
Yeah.
Don't jinx it.
This next piece, I'm going to start off with a kanjira, which is an Indian instrument, South Indian instrument, and as opposed to this drum that's tightly stretched over the hoop, this is also a different kind of frame drum. It's just about 9 inches across and 2.5 inches deep. You can manipulate the pitch just by squeezing on the head somewhat. Also, I have a little bit of a drum set over here kind of thing, and mixed in with these instruments to create this kind of hybrid effect. And I put a lot of these drums over the last many years on stands, and to figure out different ways, and I use different combination of things for different, musical journeys and so on. And this one lends itself to the music that Chris and I do together. And yeah, if you have any, like Adam, if you have any questions throughout, this is not, you feel free to ask questions whenever you want. You could just raise your hand or just yell out, whatever it is. You got your special,
Seems like there's like you're mixing it up a little bit. Yeah.
Yes.
Quite a bit, yeah. Like a song like that, there's a lot of written out parts and then sections where we improvise.
Yeah.
I mean, really, all of them are like that. Come to think of it, more like a jazz melody with soloing in between.
I was watching a video the other day of you all playing with the Opal String Quartet.
Uh-huh.
Can you speak a little bit about some of the different ensemble types, setups that you all have worked with?
Well, yeah, like you mentioned, we've done a lot of stuff with the string, like the Opal String Quartet. We did a whole album, and John Greer was kind enough to bring us to the Fine Arts Center. We did a lot of really fun concerts with the kids there playing strings, and trying to think. We've both toured a lot with a lot of different people. We've toured with Omar Farouk Tekbalek. You can find out more about him at omarfarouktekbalek.com. Spelled like it sounds.
I have a called the Global Symphony Project, which uses a lot of this material with strings. We've done a thing. We're doing May 5th. We're playing with Four Seasons Orchestra. We're going to play 7 of our compositions in Hendersonville with a
Chamber orchestra.
maybe 30 people or so, strings and woodwinds and brass and the whole thing. So we have a whole arrangement for that. So that's coming up, not too far from here. And Chris and I, Chris Stack said that, Chris has recorded a lot. We've probably recorded on about almost 200 albums together, Chris and I. Everything from everything from meditation music, jazz music, rock music, indie rock, lots and lots of singer-songwriters in the Asheville area too, jazz folks, and all kinds of music really, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Spoken word stuff with poets and dancers and so many things. So to answer your question, it's pretty multilateral, kaleidoscopic, as we like to call it.
Excellent. And before I put this down, I just wanted to say this is the electric oud. It's sort of the electric version of that first instrument I played, and it's a lot easier to fly on an airplane with. And when things get louder, like at a festival where maybe the sound isn't great, it's a lot easier to get a good sound out of than the first oud I played. What are we gonna play, River?
We're gonna play Doug.
Oh.
This is a piece called Doug from Appalachistan. And Doug is a friend of ours who passed away a few years ago. And Doug had many, many names. And Appalachistan is a term, I don't know who coined that. Was that you?
I think that was Doug, actually,
That was
yeah.
Doug.
Which
Combining,
I've stolen, yes.
Western Asian type of musical influences with Appalachia.
Indo-Billy from Appalachistan is how we often describe our music.
This next, a lot of times we like to write music together. So this one was a piece I wrote for my Wednesday night drum class, which I've done for almost 20 years in Asheville. And it was a piece based on a 7 rhythm with a 9 rhythm. And the 7 is a 1 2 1 2 1 2 3, and the 9 is a 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. So 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. And then I came up with this arrangement with this, and then I presented it to Chris. I said, "Hey, do you got something to go with this?" And he goes, "Yeah." And we worked on this for a while, and then we've only played it a few times live, really. So it's only been a few months since we've done it live. So.
And you might be wondering what this strange instrument is. You saw the oud and the dotar earlier. Well, I saw this online. I think Chris actually may have posted it. But it's an instrument made by a Canadian maker, Edward Powell, and it's oud on one side, dotar on the other side. Because he plays both. I mean, how could I not buy this instrument? So he was living in the Czech Republic at the time, so as you can imagine, it didn't feel great wiring money to the Czech Republic to a person I'd only met online, but an instrument eventually showed up 2 months later, so. And so it's a slightly smaller Dotar. It doesn't have the sympathetic strings, but it has the main playing strings, and then the oud has one less string. So it's 5 pairs instead of or 4 pairs in the low string rather than 5 pairs. And it's tuned down to B rather than D, which the other two are. Probably because the tension would probably explode if I tuned it up to D. We could try it at the end, but wait till after the song.
a fun song to work on because we talked about vocalizing
Took
together.
me a while.
First time Chris has vocalized
Easy
like
for
that.
him.
So it's great. So lots of props to Chris for vocalizing that. He's a vocalist. He does a lot. He's actually besides Chris actually went to the Miami School of Music at the conservatory there, and he was actually a piano major, believe it or not, and actually a recording engineer major also. And then as he left school, and as a lot of us who go through conservatories, you go through like years. You might go through a decade or more of formal training, and then you leave the conservatory, and then you kind of have to untrain yourself a little bit and find your own voice, and travel the world and collect all the information, and let your palette grow and evolve and so on. And one of the things he discovered is he's a singer-songwriter.
That's right.
Yeah. We're gonna play this song next.
That was a good segue. Thanks.
River actually went to the Manhattan School of Music and played timpani and marimba and all the classical things, and then gave it all up and moved to the Himalayas, right? And now he does this.
Play that. On this one also, here
Oh,
on
yeah.
this one, I have a doumbek. This is a very large doumbek. Sometimes it's called a dohola, but it's got a lot more bass. And you play it a little, it's different than a frame drum, but it's a similar technique. And the bass would be over here, the doom, the text, and the pause. I'll play it in a more traditional way for this one. Anybody have any questions?
I forgot to mention when I was playing, after we played that first song, but in Middle Eastern music, there's a lot of notes that are in the cracks of the piano. So you might have heard in that first piece I did at the very beginning, there's some notes that probably sounded like he's probably not playing exactly in tune. Well, they were intentional, believe it or not. So there's some, they're called comas or quarter tones, and like that's an actual written note in Turkish and Middle Eastern music. I think of it as exactly between a D and an F. The more wrong it sounds, the more right it is. So if I were going to play D to D, like on a piano, it would be. But if you play those E's, the second one and the sixth one, a quarter step flat, it sounds like a. Pretty cool, right? All right, but this song doesn't have any of those. questions? Yes, John.
That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
River,
Yeah.
some years ago, I sat in with an amateur drumming group, and I played a doumbek for about 45 minutes, and I swore, never again. My fingers hurt for days. How do you condition your hands?
That's actually a really good question. The whole concept, I think a lot of us drummers were, as my one great teacher, I've had many wonderful teachers, but my one great teacher, Fred Hinger and Justin DeChocha said, we're taught like dummers sometimes. And part of it is really to understand how to pull the sound out of the drum. So you're always playing from the drum, you're bouncing, you're pulling the sound out, you're lifting, you're not banging, you're not striking, you're not pushing, you're not just pushing down like, sometimes you see somebody who looks like they're hammering nails or something like that. The idea, especially because, we have so many muscles in the fingers, right? And bones and joints and ligaments and tendons. In order to, my goal is to be playing when I'm 126. So the idea is to play really loose and always play from the instrument. So when I'm playing, I always kind of create these wave-like motions so that I can pull the sound out of the drum, right? So that's part of the secret. Then also with the doumbek, you have to play lightly, and you have to just always pull, as opposed to pushing it. Most people, they get on these kind of drums and they say, you see how much sound I can get? And they just push into it, but there's only so much sound you're going to get. You have to work with the drum and pull the sound out. And really that goes with any percussion instrument too. That if you're playing with a stick or a brush, as much as you can, you try to pull the sound out. And then you'll have less stress on your joints and your sockets and of course your muscles, everything that holds that. So, but in the generation that I was brought into, it was just starting to talk about like Feldenkrais method and Dalcroze, and my teacher at the time, Fred Hinger, was 69 years old, and I was an 18, 19-year-old kid, and he had me doing like these Tai Chi strokes on the timpani with the timpani mallet, and then like how do I create ellipses on the drums even using a mallet, and then I applied that to also the hand drums. So that makes any sense. That's part of the secret, I think, and it also just helps you get a good tone, and it's like. There's probably some violinists. There's definitely a cellist in the house. When you play even when you play with a pick, you don't start with the bow up here or the pick up here and hit the instrument. You put the bow on the instrument and you pull the sound out, right? So the same type of approach with the drum. I'm thinking up, not down, constantly pulling up and creating ellipses. Yeah.
Have you played for Middle Eastern audiences?
Oh yeah. So with Omar Farouk Tekbalek, we've been all over the Middle East, from Morocco and Tunisia, Algeria, Egypt, and been to Israel a bunch of times, and Nazareth and Bethlehem and all kinds of Turkey and West. Yeah, it's great, and it was the great thing about playing in a place like the Holy Land is like people think. There's all this idea from the West of like what people are and religions are, but we would play, in a concert, and there'd be Arabs, there'd be Jews, there'd be Christians, and they'd not look like Christians like as you see around here. They will look different. There's Palestinian Christians, there's Arabs, there's everything. But when it comes to music time, everybody comes together. I mean, obviously, what's happening now is like extremely sad, and it breaks my heart what's happening there right now. My mom was born in Alexandria, my dad from Giza, and my people are all from Armenia and Syria, so it's incredibly heartbreaking what's happening right now. So I think the more peace we create through music and more unity and bringing our cultures together, it'll help everybody. It's time to get over, reckless killing, honestly. It's high time. There's always people that suffer, and me being a generation just after the Armenian genocide, it's like not only do you have like careless killing, you have the possibility of creating hatred for at least 2 generations, if not 3. And then if that kid sees their father getting blown up by whatever, and then they're going to pass that down to their kids and so on. So like I had to make the conscious decision not to do that in my own life. So Omar Farouk's a Turkish person, and my mom was like, your grandfather would just roll over in his grave if you were playing with a Turk and all this stuff. I was like, well, he treats me like a brother. he's the most kind person to me. He takes me all over the world. Like, even if his grandfather killed my grandfather, like, I'm gonna, we have the power to create the healing, and to stop that kind of like cycle, because that cycle of hatred is really keeping us from evolving in the way that humans were supposedly the most evolved, is lacking. So it's one of my missions. Here. Did I forgot what your original question was. But in general, I play for peace.
Yes.
I drum for peace. We've all heard of the drums for war, but I drum for peace. Yeah.
That's how you don't hurt your hand. Oh,
Yeah.
oh no, that was the
I
other
did.
question. It was a later question, sorry.
River, do you also play tabla?
I do play some tabla. I mean, I did it in the early 90s. I studied with this great friend who studied with Swapan for a while, but the people who play tabla, like as Adam could say, like only play tabla, and it's like the whole thing. But I apply that, like right here, I have a low drum on here, and I have a high drum on here, and I kind of use that technique. And of course, the split hand technique I use all the time for playing it on with this hand or playing these dry hands. Sounds this way. So it's heavily influenced my music, though. And also, I listen to Indian. I've always listened to Indian music once I discovered it. I'm not sure how old I was, but I was a teenager, and it just totally changed my life. And I thought those folks were improvising a lot. And they do improvise a lot, but I didn't realize how much of that stuff was written out until I started to study it. And then you realize they study, kind of like what we do. They learn these compositions. Sometimes it's note for note, these percussion compositions that last like a long time. And then once you get into that, then you get to the point where you're playing on stage, and then you're responding. I mean, I like to play solo stuff, and I do all kinds of things, and even sound meditations and stuff, but the beautiful thing about playing with Chris is there's this conversation that's always happening. So, my tones correspond with his tones, so no matter what I do, and we play off of each other. And then what I love about that is it's the synergy of music. So 1 and 1 is greater than 2 at that point. We create this kind of like, this consciousness together, which becomes sound, of course, and we're fortunate in that way. But yeah, I enjoy that very much. And that music is really, really special too. And these days, it's taken quite a lift off. If you listen to much Indian-based music, the fusion, kind of like what we're doing, with in the kind of like Indian fusion scene, it's really awesome.
Shakti.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They started a lot of things.
I think. Do you want to do our Odyssey
Yeah,
13?
sure.
This is a
Very different.
piece in 13 time. This is another one that started from one of River's drum compositions, which has 5 different versions of a 13-beat cycle, with the groupings differently. You can describe it better.
Yeah, so basically, the 13, there's 4 cells, right? So the first one has the first cell has a 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then it shifts 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then so on 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then the last one 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So you pretty much know the whole piece, and then the fifth one combines them all. The first one has the 4 in here, and then the 4 in here, and the 4 in here, so it moves every line on that one. Then we take it back, and then Chris thought it'd be interesting to make a solo section in 7 with a 12/8.
Just to
turn
mix
around
it up.
just to mix it up.
So River had this composition, and I was kind of challenged to put a melody to it. So this is what we came up with. Sing along if you know it.
Don't break the piano. It's only 278 years old.
I popped one of the keycaps off earlier, but
On your,
sure it's fine.
hold on. I can't see you, man.
I know, it's weird. Normally we're facing
Usually,
each
like,
other when
he's
we
on-
play this.
Usually he's over here, and I'm over there. We manage.
You can feel
I got you.
feel my energy, I think.
Yeah, but I know from my own experience, using transducers and miking and stuff can be a feedback nightmare. Any tips on feedback maybe?
You know this box I have on the floor, which most of you can't see, but it's like a little pedal that's a digital mixer and a pedal. I can go through and kind of EQ out kind of the weird frequencies, and that
Yeah.
lets me get it louder in a sound system without having weird things stick
Oh,
out
nice.
or feedback, yeah. So that helps a lot. Also, it helps that River's not like the loudest drummer in the world, thankfully. So we're definitely in some situations where I can't play the acoustic instruments because they can't get loud enough over the electric bass and the drums or whatever, so I'll have to play the electric oud, but.
I mean, that's one, as far as the topic, that's a really great question, because over the years, I've tried many, many different things, and, I've dabbled with electronic percussion in here and there, and really, my hands just likes, and my body just likes natural instruments, and to play instruments and skins and things like that, and cymbals and singing bowls and whatnot, but what we figured out over time is also how to mic things and how to mic them in a way. Usually we travel, Chris was nice enough to bring his own mixer, but we have our own mixer and we cue the heck out of our instruments, so it's like how to play these kind of ancient or somewhat even archaic instruments, but in a modern setting, and understanding amplification and electronics in that way really, really helps too. And we find, and every year or two we just dial things in. We're like, oh, let's try this, or let's, when we're in the recording studio, we have a heyday, we're like kids in the candy store, and we try all different kinds of things, and we try to bring that live to a different way. And I think it's okay to play these old instruments because, we're surrounded by old instruments in this, it's a great place in this museum, but, as the world is getting so much more digital, not necessarily technological, but just digital, technology has always been around. I think it's good to play these natural instruments. I think the world just needs that, because we're just, like I teach kids too, and if a kid picks up a cello, or they pick up a violin or a drum, I think it's in some ways, even if they only played for a couple of years, I'm like, yes, spend $1,000 on your kid's cello if you could afford it or whatever, because whatever they're, anything that they're doing that's with their hands, like if you're a maker or if you're playing an instrument, the other option is most likely they're going to be on a screen. So whatever you can do to keep our kids, and I'm sure Augie, you're going to be playing some instruments. I'm sure you already do play instruments, right? Look, you're so quiet.
Oh, yeah, nice.
You're so quiet. You're amazing.
It's amazing. See his little fingers moving while you're playing.
Any other questions? Yes?
Yes, you talked about the electric oud, but you have the other ouds and the dotar, but you also have chords coming out of them. Did you install pickups in those?
I
Good
did, yeah.
questions.
They're kind of basically pickups made for guitars normally, but there's a little pickup stuck underneath the top here that's designed specifically for acoustic instruments.
Okay.
Enables it to be a little louder. Like, even though River plays quiet, he is playing a drum set a lot of times, so it doesn't quite work acoustically.
So it still makes
But it's
the
still the
acoustic
acoustic
sound
instrument.
rather than electrical type sound.
Right.
Yeah.
Like this other, the electric oud really almost has no sound unless it's plugged in.
Right.
And this one is sort of like enhancing the acoustic sound that's already there.
Can you explain the left-hand technique on the dotar? Again, I missed that somehow. I couldn't see what you were doing.
Yeah, you're actually sliding on your fingernails. So so being a guitar player and piano player, like if I was just playing Sarod, I'd probably have longer fingernails, but I have them just long enough that I can slide on this hand on the string.
So keep your nails a little longer so you can
Yeah,
play
so
it.
you're almost kind of rolling the finger over a little bit to play on the edge of the nail.
You get a
Which-
groove worn in, or do you just move it
I
around?
guess my nails have just toughened up over the years, but when
was first studying the Sarod, I had to, I think at one point I even had a fake nail, and it was definitely a little rough. I think my nails are just naturally pretty strong, so. And you mostly use these two fingers, but this one occasionally. Almost never the pinky, but. You a guitar player or?
Mostly bass. But
Mostly bass, yeah.
How many musicians are here in the house? All right. How you doing, Mom? Awesome. Augie, you gonna raise your hand? And on this piece, we're gonna play a handpan. This is basically two domes fused together, and at this point, I think the handpan, I used to say it was only 10 years old or 5 when I started playing them, but what is it now, 20, 25 years, the first hung drums?
Yeah.
At the most. This is made by a company called Siraz, and I think Siraz just stopped doing their thing, at least for a while.
He's intermittently building to support the Chinese medicine
Oh,
study
that's how it
on
works.
the other side, yes.
And it's a really, when Chris and I started playing them together, it's a really nice combination with the dotar. So we're going to play a piece we just started working on last year. Don't really have a title for it, but
We call it C minor, handpan piece. It's pretty catchy, but
Yeah. Thanks.
doesn't capture the essence of it. questions before we end with a song?
I just have a general question.
Uh-huh.
When did both of you realize that you were musicians? At what point in your development? When you were little or older? I think you probably came out drumming.
I'm still developing, but yes.
Yeah. Started with pots and pans.
Definitely, I was one of those pots and pans kids. They found me under the cupboard. In the cupboard. My mom was still reminding me the other day. My mom was telling this because my youngest kid, I have 3 daughters. My youngest kid is playing bass now, and you know it's hard to get your kids to practice it. If any of you have kids who are musicians, or you know, any of you? No, that's few. So it's like, you know, people used to tell my mom like, oh, I have to give my kid $5. I give him $5, $10 just so they can practice. I always say I should try to give me $5 just to shut up. So it goes way back. And then what was fascinating for me, you know, growing up in a multicultural kind of family, and also like, you know, and I lived in Montreal, which was a lot of immigrants over there. Then I moved to the United States when I was about 12 or so, and when I discovered jazz, though, that really like opened my mind up to like the style, yes, the style, but more what jazz was about was like, wow, you could just do anything, you know. And then I played a lot of modern music when I went to conservatory and learned, you know, as a percussionist, there's, you know, if you're looking at written down music and Western music, there's not much written before 1940. So you kind of have to play like contemporary music and modern music and all that. And that also, you know, when you play, you know, music say by like Cage or Stockhausen or people like that, like then it's really like you could do whatever you want. You know, the question is more like, well, why not, or why can't I do that? As long as it sounds good to you and pleasing. And I grew up in an era where people were still stretching the boundaries in music and like stretching the dissonances and 12-tone music and microtone music. And I played with an ensemble of Harry Partch. You know who Harry Partch is? He was a musician from the 50s, 60s. And I wrote a lot of music, and he had scales that were 44-tone scales. He had a 33-tone scales, and he created these huge percussion instruments that would fill up this whole room based on all these scales. So that just opened my mind. And then traveling around the world and living off the grid, you know, was another way that influenced, you know, my music in that particular way. But all to this point here with this kind of interesting mix-up of different things. Monsieur.
My mom is a piano teacher, so I started pretty young, and supposedly I was in the womb when she was doing her senior recital, so I heard a lot of Bartok and Bach in particular when I was in the womb. But I started taking piano lessons when I was about 6 or 7, something like that. Played French horn and bass and all sorts of things in high school, choir, and jazz piano major in college. Marching band, yes. And then after college, basically stopped playing piano for a while, just played acoustic guitar and wrote songs. And then I went to Indian music school for a while, and then started playing with this Turkish guy, that Omar, and here we are. Kind of in a nutshell. Any other questions before we do our last thing? Yeah.
Not so much a question, but I just want to
Yeah.
make sure everybody knows that Chris and River have CDs for sale in the back of the room.
Since
And
it's a
even
museum, we brought our own artifacts. The final, probably the last 10 or 15 CDs of free play radio in the world. Make us an offer.
So there's also thumb drives too.
Oh, and we have USB drives for you musicians that have many of our scores on them, along with all of our albums. So if you're interested in seeing kind of the PDFs of all the scores, that's on there too. So. And thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for coming,
Big
Chris.
thanks to Chris and everybody here for having us, and you in particular for being here. So.
Thank you. This piece is called Kashlimar Variations. It's a piece in 9/8, and or just a 9, and it's one of those pieces that we had performed it with our percussion class, and we're like, Chris would come up with something cool with this. So we did. It has like four basic sections that are a 9, and once again it moves the pulse around. It also has 4, but this one, instead of the other one which had 4s and 3s, this one has a 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. In the middle it goes 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. I think at one point there's a 3 in the beginning. I don't remember. And there's a section in the middle in it's 17, I think. There's a percussion break, and Chris might.
I'm not today.
Okay. He's gonna feel it.
I'm gonna work it up, but
The vocal part, but he'll
yeah,
pick it up.
I'll work up the vocal part.
Sure. I'm using my my long bamboo, so not to be too loud and to help people's ears. I'm using my little bamboo drumsticks today. They're actually Chinese chopsticks, the big ones. If there's any drummers out there, these make great drumsticks.
Less likely to get fired for playing too loud.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Alright. Sorry, I gotta make sure I got everything, because this piece moves by very quick. helping us, and Chris Thag for asking us, and David's back there somewhere, and Tim and Tom. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, y'all did. You did it.
Yeah, Rocky.